Everybody give me just a second. This is Breaking the Cage, and let me tell you, we got a lot to talk about. Timelines, people, timelines. But let me, real fast, get this posted out to my page as soon as I get down here far enough. And then we're going to get right into it. Sorry, I'm a noise maker. I just always make noise in one form or another. And then one more. Yep, there we go. Turn off this one so I don't hear it. Da, 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 da. This is Breaking the Cage. It is Astrology TV with the Matrix Mind Media, and I'm so excited. This is a very powerful week at what is going to be happening and getting us in the direction for, you know, what's going to be coming in during March and April. So this is definitely a pivoting week, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. That's the trick of these things. Let me get my incense burning. I'm not going to go into the spews of, you know, all of my different sales and whatnot. If you are interested in, you know, booking a session with me, just check out my Facebook page. All of that stuff is up. But other than that, let me get into this week. Because it was funny. I was having trouble with getting it together. And then I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna take this show tonight. And Spirit just finally came in and was like, blah blam. And I was like, yay. So, and they were taking me all over the place. This week, it doesn't look like it's gonna be so massive, but it really truly is. You have a full moon today. A full moon in Libra. Not Libra, what am I saying? In Leo. Now, it's kind of funny that way because we're in February, the smallest month of the year, or shortest month of the year. And this is supposed to be the minimized. Instead of like a super moon, it's supposed to be the small moon. It's supposed to be the small full moon. But see, what Spirit is giving me is, as I say to people a lot of times when I'm doing my work, Spirit gives me things in Hebrew a lot of times. And what they give me is the yod, which you would see in astrology. But what they're giving it to me from the Hebrew perspective. And sometimes the smallest is the mightiest. So you have the full moon that's been taking place today in Leo. And remember, Leo is considered the lion or the ruler of the zodiac, the king of the jungle. But I had posted earlier today, you've got to remember, it's not just the king of the jungle. The lion is first and foremost a feline. First and foremost a feline, and it enjoys its playful pounce. It enjoys its creativity. It enjoys, you know, being able to bask in the sun, and that was their words, and just enjoy that energy of themselves. Look who just came to visit everybody as I'm talking about cats. And that's my Neptune, in case you've not been with me long enough to know my cats yet. Anyway, you can't eat the incense, baby. No, I got to push that back in there. Okay, anyway, what I'm trying to get at is it's the universal fifth house. It is questioning and working with a lot of the energies that are really about us getting into our self-motivated, action-oriented, self-assertive, personal identification. The Leo, the lion, it's our creativity, it's our fun, our enjoyment. It's where our pursuit of pleasure is. It's asking you to first remember who you are. Remember who you are before they made you forget who you are. And then never let that shine be dulled. Never dumb yourself down for the rest of the world. I'm not saying that you're above anybody else, but you sure are not beneath them. See, this is important because as we come into the full moon, the moon is always bringing things into light. And it's speaking to you about your own self, your character, who you are. And do you know who this is? Because what Spirit is saying is really what's important here is that new moon that's going to be coming in at the end of the month. It's actually coming in on the 20th. And this is more like the void. More like, and I always say, you know, go all the way back to the void, where the void and the light meet and the consciousness comes together. This is kind of like this little next 2 weeks is a little bit of figuring out who you are, resetting who you are, realizing, acknowledging that, because that new moon is going to be taking place in Pisces. You've got Pisces energy at that new moon. So I'm giving you understanding as to why this is so important. The sun will be moving into Pisces also at that time. You still have Neptune there. Neptune is your spirit of your magic. Where do you believe your spirit is? See, this whole little preset to that April and March has to do with timelines, guys. I'm going to get there in just a second. And really understanding the hot, funky mess the timelines are. And being the master creator of your own self within these timelines. You have Vista, which many astrologers do not talk about. Vista is, let me flip back for a second. Vista is Jupiter's sister. It is technically the keys to everything you need to know. Vista, she's the keys to all doors. She is the home and the hearth, which is what you are. You got to remember that, though. And she's the keeper to everything. She's moving out of Pisces on the 7th and moving into Aries. So it's the end of a cycle, clearing that 12th house, grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurity, and finding the healing, and or are you finding that healing and breathing life into it? It's very important. She's going to be coming closer to Jupiter. She's going to be coming closer to Juno, which is sacrificing commitment in the character of who and what you are. And then Chiron also. But don't forget, one of the big important parts here that nobody talks about is Eris, which I've often referred to as Medusa, because that's the way I see it. Eris is trouble, toil, strife, and what you're still holding on to. Or as I like to say a lot of times, vampire syndrome. Like, and I use it this way, in the way of, I really don't want to hold on to this negativity anymore. But could you please take it from my cold, dead hands, because I can't seem to let it go. Where we just keep holding on to what doesn't serve us. That's the way I get Medusa energy, which is Eris, trouble, toil, and strife, where we keep holding on to what keeps us negative, what keeps us down, what keeps us from growing. So you're looking at Chiron, the wounded healer. You're looking at Jupiter and his abundance. You're looking at Juno, which is his wife, and sacrificing commitment to finding out who you are, making the changes. And then you've got Vista, the keys moving in. But which part of you are you holding on to? Are you holding on to what should be letting go so that you can find the true you? Or are you comfortable in the old you? You've got, which we're going to get into in a second, because like I said, I got to talk to you a lot about the timelines here. You have Venus, which is coming closer to Neptune this week. Venus and Neptune are actually going to conjunct next week. But this is going to put a lot more sensitivity on your fantasy and reality. Fantasy smacks you in the face with harsh reality, in fact. Neptune is our place of mystery and dreams. This means also it's going to make your dreams more vivid, your psychic energy more vivid, your psychic empath energy, the sensitivity more vivid, because these two are coming together. It's as well as in that universal 12th house, grief, sorrow, shame, blame, and insecurities, going to make it more sensitive. In general, your sensitivity for the next week and a half is going to be growing. Because of that, what will you do with that sensitivity? Will you use it to steer you in a healthy new way? Or will you use it to steer you in that, let me just create my own same old reality, grief, sorrow, shame, blame, skeletons in the closet, and ignore it? Because that was going to backfire. I'm just warning you guys. You have Saturn and the Sun, which are coming together before the Sun moves into Pisces. All right. They're going to be coming closer together, just like Venus and Neptune. This is your rules, your walls, your boundaries, your groups, your memberships, your committees, your work friends, your goals, dreams, and ambitions. Will they stand in your way? The Sun is going to be illuminating if the goals, dreams, and ambitions are being ignored, if they're being pushed on the back burner because you're allowing someone else to say that that situation's more important. We're really going to go here in a second. I really am explaining it. I'm just breaking this little bit down before I get into the timeline bit. Then you have Mercury, which is going to be entering Aquarius as well. Okay? Plus it's passing Pluto. So it's your communication is really important right now. How you communicate with yourself. Are you setting those boundaries? Are you standing in your power? Not that anybody is better than me, but I'm sure not beneath anybody else. And I will not be bamboozled is what I just heard. I will not be a chump. This is not the time. When I get into the timeline of the way Spirit is asking me to explain it to you, you must first understand. Let's try to step out of the way we've always, or many of us, have looked at the idea of the timeline. Because I heard, and the way Spirit is using something that I was hearing earlier this week as a perfect example. You know, like somebody else is like, well, that's not part of my timeline. That's not part of my timeline. Right there's your key point. You have two different sides here. There are timelines upon timelines upon timelines. It is somewhat of a burrito effect in the way of time. Okay? And just because it's not in your timeline does not make it a true timeline for somebody else. Perfect example is like Russia and the war in Ukraine. Well, it may not be part of your life or your timeline. You may be paying no attention to it in your life at all. Or maybe you're somebody who's very political and very into all of this. But that doesn't mean it's not still happening in their timeline. But at the same time, here comes your oxymoron of that timeline. And Spirit keeps giving it to me this way because it helps us to understand and unravel it. Okay? Perfect example, way back a couple years ago, right around 2020, and I know Matt has said it for those who follow the Matrix Mind media. Matt has said before, you know, the Pleiades have come in and spoken to him about the timeline. And if you're on that higher vibrational frequency, well, then it can't be in the same timeline as you. It's like we call law of attraction. If you are in that higher vibration, something that is not in the same vibrational frequency cannot continue to exist and last in your timeline. However, that doesn't mean that something isn't trying to rise up to it or seek it. It may be there, but it will not last. It has the ability to yo-yo and pull you up and down. This is why I always say in the vibrations, you know, you've got to watch what those margins are. There's like the top of the vibration, and then there's the low part of the vibration. And in the three-dimensional world, The low vibration is technically the three-dimensional world. And then we start to step up into the higher ones. But we have to stay in physical reality. So we go back and forth between 3D, 4D, 5. And like I said, if something is bouncing in and out of your timeline, in and out of your vibration, it cannot remain for very long if it doesn't match those vibrations. However, the timelines split often and shift and change. And I had a specific time. Now, this may be harder for you to understand, but as they're shifting and breaking and reconnecting, this can be major moments of shifting change. I had specifically for me before where Anubis came in because I was caught in between two timelines. And I'm literally driving down the road and I'm seeing like a car accident happen. And then I'm seeing like an entire other life. And I was like, I got to pull over. My psychic, medium energy was kicking in. And Anubis comes in to explain to me that my timelines were splitting. This is what I'm trying to get at. Not that you're going to see things along that line, but timelines are splitting, meaning you are actually choosing the timelines. You are actually choosing to be 3D, 4D, 5D in your thinking pattern, in your creating, your master creating energy. These timelines don't just shift and then remain there. Like I said, it's the burrito effect. It does play over each other. Now, what Spirit was also giving me, which is a very important part of this energy, is, I don't know, it's an old movie, I'm showing my age here, is the Devil's Advocate. The Devil's Advocate. Hold on, let me get to this energy because we are coming into a major mystical timeline shifting. And what they're giving me is, you've got to understand before I even explain this Devil's Advocate part from that movie, of the way Spirit is giving it to me, is you really need to be responsible for and accountable for your can-do attitude versus can't get right attitude. This has a lot to do with the way we're thinking and the energies, like I said, the groups, the memberships, the committees, the people, places, things, your mundane daily tasks, has a lot to do with your vibrational frequency as well as your manifestation, and acknowledging where these are helping and where they're not. So what they're giving me is from that movie, The Devil's Advocate, when Al Pacino is sitting here going, God likes to watch. You can look, but you can't touch. Oh, wait a minute. You can touch, but you can't taste. You can taste, but you can't swallow. They're all rules. They are instincts that God, universe, creation, yourself, your soul parts have. But here's the kicker. Are your instincts low vibrational or high vibrational? That has a lot to do with where we take our stuff. Where are our instincts? Remember, the vibration, the energy only sets the stage. We pull our own strings. We are the ones that are actually creating the reality. The energy was just placed there. Will you be duped? Will you be duped in that whole idea of you can look, but you can't touch. You can touch, but you can't taste. How are you viewing things? Are you viewing the world around you as this harsh, horrible place, but I can't really fix my life? Are you viewing it as, no, I can create my own reality, but I'm not really seeing it happen? That's the action you take. Your thinking. It's always an oxymoron game. Your timelines, the way you view it, the way you feel it. Like I said, is your instinct low vibrational? Because maybe that has to do with addressing. If your instinct is push and shove to get your way, then that's not you in your power. If your instinct is that you have to, belittle somebody else, then that's showing you you're in a lower vibration. Where is your instinct? Is it your instinct, or are you being duped by the outer world and you're not actually stepping into higher vibrations? Like I said, it has a lot to do this week with with your groups, your memberships, with your daily mundane tasks, your people, your places, your things that you are part of. You are a product of your environment. So where is your energy? Where is your thinking? Somebody else could be bitching and moaning about their life and their timeline and, oh, woe is me, all of this stuff. And you could be standing right there, but still be in a completely different world. What I'm trying to get at is, how impenetrable are you? Are you going to allow yourself to be swayed, influenced? You can look, but you can't touch. You can touch, but you can't taste. You create the reality. You are the puppet master. You are the ones pulling your own strings. What strings are you pulling, and where are you taking yourself? This is the important part to acknowledge, because like I said, you have sun and that new moon that's coming in, going to be going into Pisces. And then the sun's going to be in Pisces as these other planets start to make their shifts that I was saying was going to be major important things with the sun in fantasy versus reality, or fantasy versus harsh reality. Are you seeing it now? Because if you don't, it's going to hit hard, it's going to hit fast, and it's going to hit beneath the belt. This is the time to make sure that you're realizing if, in fact, you are an impenetrable force, in control and accountable for your own energies and what's going on around you. I'm also being reminded to say, for some of you, where I'm being given that Al Pacino from, you can look, but you can't touch. You can touch, but you can't taste. You can taste, but you can't swallow. And that idea of God likes to watch from that part. That's the energy literally going, well, what will you do? What will you do with what we give you? But what Spirit is also giving me is, instead of Al Pacino, they're telling me to replace it with Capone. And this is speaking about crime families. This is talking about organized crime, trying to manipulate and push you around in different ways. Yes, read between the lines of what I'm saying here. This is also saying, in not the big scheme of that organized crime that's trying to legalize itself and make it show you that you must follow the rules and do as we say, but even on the littler man's, in your daily life. I mean, not all of us live in luxurious, neighborhoods. Some of you are dealing with, overrun homes and areas, product of your environment, drug dealers and organized crime in that way, and being pushed around. How much of an impenetrable force are you? How influenceable are you? Because like I said, you're going into that new moon, starting new beginnings, new manifestations from the 12th house, where magic, the soul itself, Neptune, and the spirit of his magic can create anything. He can lift you up and bring you into a brand new healing and close that cycle, or he can, like I said, look right out of the world of, well, I can see, but see, there's that obstacle. I can never do that. Well, then you won't do that. This is all part of what I'm talking about. How's your head working? How's your head thinking? What are your instincts? Are they low vibrational? If they are, let's check this out. Let's start researching this. Let's figuring out why we're programmed or we're still in the program of autopilot of believing that lower vibration about ourselves. And how can we get ourselves out of that? This is highly important stuff right now, because I'm trying to put you in the right directions, my loves. Timelines upon timelines, they split often. They will re-burrito, they will reshift. You have things that will come in to just try to see if it can pull you down or push you up. You can have somebody knock at your door, knock at another door, knock at another door. But if there's, like I said, the vibration of the energy will give you the impression that it doesn't exist. But what doesn't exist for you may very well exist for someone else. Well, you be influenced. When we get into the blueprint, like I said, you have Vista that is moving into Aries. This is the keys to opening all the doors. You have a lot of this energy going through the third eye, quite literally. The Jupiter, the third eye, quite literally, your ears, your eyes, downloads, energies are coming in. Plus, heavy, weighed down eyes, literally feeling heavy, has a lot to do with holding on to grief and resentment that you haven't healed within yourself, or relationships that you have. When they're heavier, burning eyes are usually dealing with being afraid. Gritty eyes are dealing with anger that you haven't dealt with. Ears have a lot to do with past life chakras, not just that zeal point. Mainstream hoopla. We cannot be in the mainstream hoopla anymore. This is what I'm trying to get at to you with the timelines. If you are still in the mainstream, oh, well, I'm still with the mainstream and the chakras, so this is all I need to know is those 7 chakras. No, we're beyond that. You need to start knowing the chakras that are from the hips down. If you are only in the mainstream hoopla of let me deal with the war, let me deal with the negative, let me deal with that, then that's what you're going to have. Your mainstream is the autopilot energy. You have to tap into your own mainframe. You have to take over your instinct and decide where you are sending that energy. The product of the environment or not, and what environment is your timeline going to be created in? I don't know how better to explain this. I'm trying the best I can, but I don't know how else to say this stuff. You have, like I said, Vista is going to be moving into the head. You have Jupiter, which is literally going over the eyes, the ears, and the cheeks. You have Juno, which is going over the nerves of the eyes. Why do you think I was explaining to you, heavy eyes are grief. Heavy eyes are resentment that you've been holding on to. You don't know how to release. Gritty eyes is anger. Burning eyes is afraid. We're talking about Chiron coming down and being on the tongue. We're talking about speaking and creating your reality through the actual, not just thought, but speaking it into reality. And what are you speaking into reality? Being accountable for what we're doing. You have that North Node, which is again on the vocal cords. That's what a lot of this is learning, is we're trying so hard, this energy, to get you to still have compassion and love, but at the same time, to not be a chump. We're coming into the energies of you've got to stand firm. You've got to be that impenetrable force. That doesn't mean to be evil. That doesn't mean to push and shove. That doesn't mean to roar and, attack. Oh, I don't have to act that way. I'm impenetrable force. You can't influence me. But I still wish you love. I still hope things are good for you. But that's not going to change my opinion over here. It's not going to change the way I'm going to act over here. Uranus is on the esophagus again. We're talking about breathing in and out, creating reality, timelines, shifting, splitting, and resewing themselves. This is also talking about your DNA, which also is speaking to you about, your own personal shocks in your energy where you're lighting up and acknowledging and making these DNA upgrades. A lot of this is coming in right now. You may be exhausted. Several people have had that spiritual flu energy. Pamper yourself, love yourself, but stand firm. You have also, and Spirit is reminding me, a lot of times underneath the arms, like when you are saging the house or you're saging yourself, smudging, a lot of people don't realize how right here underneath the arm, how much energy, because your arms are usually down, how much energy is literally caught up in there like a psychic sponge. How much of the negatives that we don't let go of gets in here. This is part of why your arms, your neck, and your shoulders get heavy too. It's a storage place. It's also connected straight to the heart chakra. So if you are cleansing with cleansing and smudging, remember too, when you do cleanse yourself, we need to cleanse underneath here, not just under your feet. I mean, not just your all of your body. You should be cleansing your feet because they're responsible for taking you everywhere you go. You should be cleansing between, sorry, but I would say between the legs. But what I would say, like, is if you have smudge, like if you're smudging, set it on the ground, stand above it for a moment, because you know, typically we're standing upright or we're sitting and our legs are closed. And typically there's energies that are storing in here that are not necessarily positive energies. This is about, like I said, February is soul food month for me. This is about getting right with our heart, right with our soul, right with who we are. And if we're acknowledging things that the mainstream doesn't want you to know because you're still stuck on, let me stay in the mainstream hoopla, then you're not going to learn these things. You're not going to get these healings. Little things like, even if it's an incense of Palo Santo, just, you know, a little bit goes a long way. It connects to the heart chakra. The Spirit is reminding me to tell you all this. Then you have, obviously, Pallas, which is Athena, the warrior goddess, the only one still technically in retrograde, who deals with strategic thinking. And she's in Cancer, which technically is going over your gastric energy, your digestive energy, the energies of your life that you are digesting quite literally into your body, about your inner emotional security or lack thereof it. Pallas is Athena, the warrior goddess, strategic thinking, and she's still in retrograde. Still picking at, well, just how secure are you? The only thing that can never be taken from you is your soul, but you can misplace it. You can not realize how powerful you are. You can be stuck into the digestive energy of everything that you're pulling into yourself, which is getting directly into our solar plexus and our root chakra. Your I am, not, well, solar plexus and sacral chakra. Your I am, your ability to feel conviction for yourself, your ability to feel strong and love oneself, your ability to believe in feeling secure about who and what you are. Like I say a million times, the inner belly dancer. I don't care if you're the biggest, fattest sumo wrestler, but if you feel good about you, then good for you. Because you can't get into your I am energy if you don't have the courage and you don't feel good about yourself. So what are you digesting in your energies in retrograde? Strategically thinking, not turning it on, not working for you in the actual stomach energy. This is why I call it the psychic sponge. This is where we store it mainly. Then you go down to Lilith, which is still in Leo. And she's going to be here for quite a little while. Lilith is a little bit of narcissistic, but and self-centered, but mainly in this energy. She's sitting here going, well, what are you here for? You're here, yeah, to help with the world and to help make this change and to bring the world back to this wonderful thing. But you weren't here just to do the job. You're here to discover what the soul's about again. You're here to show the world your muchierness. To bring that muchierness out. I tell people all the time, I'm like, my dreads are not for everybody else. They are for my guides. They are for my guides to remind me of my muchierness, to protect me in my impenetrable force. This is what I'm trying to get at. Lilith is asking you, who are you? What do you burn for? What do you care about? What do you want? What's going to make you enjoy life? What is it that makes you happy and you smile and you want to be part of and you're enjoying life? Are you getting it? The puppet master is you. You have to be accountable. Then you've got, like I said, you have Mercury, which is going into Aquarius, your communication. So don't be surprised if your calves and your ankles start getting jacked up. Your communication, Mercury's just coming out of retrograde, but he's going into the Sun and Saturn in this energy of the body. Really asking you, are you setting the proper boundaries? Are you shining? Or are you being duped? I'm sorry, but that's the best way of putting it. And your reality. So if the calves and the ankles start acting up, it might be showing you where it's trying to go, hey, red flag, red flag. All right. You have that Venus and Pisces and Neptune coming together. Your feet might be getting extra sensitive. Your grief, sorrow, shame, blame, and insecurities might be getting more sensitive because it's asking you, again, have you learned what an impenetrable force is? Have you learned how to be the master creator of your timeline? Have you learned how to make sure, I'm not going to have this in my timeline? Oh, it can be in yours, but it won't come across my shield. This is important information for you. Where are you? Take inventory so that you know what you need to be working on for the next couple months. Now, when we get into the actual astrology, again, the first thing that brings to my attention is the moon is moving right now through Virgo. Well, we're in Leo right now because of that full moon. But then it's going to be going into Virgo, then into Libra, and then into Scorpio. But I am seeing all kinds of attention being brought to that moon while it's going through Virgo and through Libra. So this is saying, are you really paying attention to those groups, memberships, committees that you are part of, your daily routines, your daily mundane tasks? The only reason it's mundane is because you overlook it and you do it so repetitively, you don't realize how much manifestation is coming out of it. You don't realize how much of a product of your own environment it is. Your people, places, and things that you are a part of, you don't only become a part of its creation, but it becomes a part of yours. And like I said, it's directly across where all that sun energy is taking place in your groups, memberships, committees, your goals, your dreams, ambitions, your tribe, or your cage. Then the moon's going to be moving into Libra. This is part of that duping energy. You can do this, but you can't do that. You can do that, but you can't do this. Libras, I love you guys. But the Libra energy is the scales of justice. Not one single one of us is the Libra sign. You might be a Libra sign, but you're not the sign. You are not the scales. You have to choose a side. Period. I will say this a million times to people in this energy. You're so busy in that Libra energy of wanting to make harmony and balance and justice that what happens is you make it wonderfully for everybody out there, and you got left on the back burner, and everything that was important to you just got tossed. No. This is what I was saying part of this full moon is. Are you balanced? In the sense of, I'm just as important as you are. I should be seen just as much as you are. You are here for a reason. You've got to start to figure out, not just creating, but you're here for a reason to experience life. Don't experience the worst parts of it because you're afraid to stand up. Pick a side. Then we're going into Scorpio. Which, if you haven't gotten any of that right, oh, you'll know about it when the moon hits Scorpio. And then as we continue to move forward, because Scorpio is highly intense emotionally. It's wanting, I like to call it a sexy Sherlock Holmes, in the sense of, if you look for it, if you continue to look for something, you will make it happen, whether it's good or bad. It's the night in Vegas. It could be the best night in Vegas, and then tomorrow I could be like, dude, it's the day we're not in Vegas anymore. I don't care about you. Timeline shifting. Folks, like I said, this stuff is important. You have a lot of sextiles this week. Sextiles create opportunities. These are very good. And it was hard to see them all. Sextiles, you have Jupiter, Juno, Chiron, which is sextiling Mars. Your character, the way you see the world, the way you carry yourself. It is the way the world also sees you. Are you showing the world who you really are? Or do they not match? And like I said, underneath all of that growth in Aries right now, where Juno, Jupiter, and Chiron is Eris. Trouble, toil, strife. Where can we hold on to the things that's kept us low? Where can we hold on to, I don't really want to carry these problems anymore, but take it out of my cold dead hand because I just cannot release it. It's our inner Medusa who doesn't believe she can be healed, but she can. But you've got to believe in that. This is speaking with Mars and that heart chakra energy and that communication of feeling good about yourself, becoming that impenetrable force without being threatening, simply because I am. You can do it, but you've got to believe. It's that can-do attitude or can't-get-right attitude. Which one are you carrying? You have Uranus, which is your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, freedom, your manifestation right now on your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. If you don't feel good about yourself, your manifestation isn't going to give you anything to feel good about. Sorry, that's the way it works. Law of attraction. If you feel good about yourself, if you're starting to bring this power back into you, you start to breathe it into reality. You start to possess the energy of possessing yourself. It is speaking in the sextile with Mercury, as well as with Saturn. Believing that you can set these boundaries. Communicating it properly or not. That is a spiritual growth part. That is 3D instincts, low vibrational, having to force it versus, no, I'm not going to do that. Because the sun's coming in on here, really illuminating if in fact, you are taking your power back. But the opportunity is there to do it. You have Neptune and Mercury. No, you have Vesta and Pluto, which is also here. Vesta is the keys as she's leaving the 12th house and coming into the first house. The keys to opening the door to the outer world, where Mercury is crossing over and going into that Aquarius energy, coming out of the 10th house and into the committees, the groups, the memberships, the authority of the outer world. Are you taking your authority back? Can you speak it? Can you cast the spell? You have Lilith, which is more or less trining Jupiter in its own ways. And this is your heart chakra, your Lilith, standing about your fire, standing into your hobbies and what makes you tick, what makes you enjoy being here on this planet and taking part in this life. Are you getting the are you getting the time for these things? If you're an artist of any kind, poetry, music, actual painting, art, are you taking the time to enjoy this outlet and show the world part of that expression? Heart, I mean, this is coming into the throat chakra, but it's also the heart. We're talking about Lilith, your expression from being who you are and not being afraid to be who you are. And that is speaking with Jupiter, again, about your character. Are you showing the world who you are? Are you helping to breathe it back into life? You have Mars and the Sun, which are getting along great. So this is the Sun as is coming closer to Aquarius. It is, closer to Saturn in Aquarius, speaking to your Mars, speaking. You are seen by how you act and what you say and what you do. Illuminating yourself. Are you showing the world? Are you speaking it to the world? Are you casting the spell? What timeline are you casting? Then you get into Venus, which is coming out of Pisces, getting ready to go into Pisces, passing Neptune, coming out of Pisces, getting ready to pass. And it's in the 12th house, passing Neptune, passing that magic, passing the ability to cast what? Good, bad, indifferent? Your sensitivity. Will it control you? Is that instinct high vibrational or low vibrational? And it is speaking to that South Node. The South Node is everything that you're good at, but it don't serve you. Where are you not growing? Where is there no rebirth? And is also speaking about the relationships that you keep that you know are not on your timeline anymore. I heard something the other day. I was watching an old TV show, and it was perfect for what this energy is. And on the old TV show, it was a husband and a wife talking. And like a friend from high school had come in. They're in their 40s. But an old friend from high school that they've always been really good friends. Man, I love him. They've always been really good friends. But the friend that was coming in is kind of still more in that high school personality. Still out partying every night, still out doing all of this, hasn't really grown up. And the other people in this relation, is the husband and wife, and they have children. And the wife asks him, if you met this person today, I know you guys were friends all of your life, and I know that you love him dearly, but if you met him today, would you still be friends? Sometimes we have to let go of people we love. They're not on the same timeline anymore. That doesn't mean you don't love them. But will you allow your timeline to yo-yo? If it's not somebody you would still be friends with today, you don't still have the same things in common. You were great friends before. That doesn't dishonor that friendship. It's just saying, let's look at the situations and where we are at in a more higher spiritual, soulful truth. And let's go from there. You have some very unpredictable energies that are coming in. And they can go either way. You have that North Node, which is speaking to Saturn. The North Node is asking you to use that voice, to speak it properly, to be the master creator, to manifest from that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, not from naive, not from the chump, not from the one who, more or less gets told what to do and has no sacral chakra. Has no solar plexus power. I'm talking about you coming back into your power. I'm talking about that North Node standing in, finding out who you are, coming into this energy, speaking to the South. Speaking to Saturn. Of going, I might have been that person before, but I'm not going to do that no more. Or will you? It's unpredictable. So somebody may be coming back in to just bat at you like a cat. Just where have you grown? Are you sure? You have that Pluto and Mercury as Mercury is passing, which is having very unpredictable energy with that Juno, that Chiron, that Jupiter, underlining that energy of where we still hold on to, Eris, trouble, toil, strife, injustice. Is your instinct old you or new you? Is your character grown? Where is that soulfulness? Where is the healing? This is the outer world, the groups of memberships, the authority of the outer world, your honor, your reputation, your prestige. Who will you show the world you are? The one that they've always known? Or the one who's coming into control now? You have that Mars energy, which is having that unpredictable energy with the South Node. Actually making the changes. Actually changing the relationships you have with the world around you, not just your groups and your memberships, or just your family or your working environment, but how are you viewing the relationship with your life? Are you growing or are you staying in comfort zones? You have challenges this week that are coming in with that Mars, Venus, and Pluto. It's kind of like a T-square, which means these are challenges. Again, the energy only sets the stage. You are the puppeteer. You have Mars in that third house of communication, up close and personal. This is also your siblings. Speaking with Venus, the sensitivity of that outer world. Goals, dreams, and ambitions, groups, memberships. Versus that outer authority of, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. The authority, your honor, your reputation. This is asking you to speak. Asking you to speak even if you're shaking in your boots. If you don't have something you want to do, don't. It is Uranus and the Sun and Uranus and the South Node, which are not getting along. So it's the Sun and that Aquarius energy coming close to Saturn, coming close to the outer groups, memberships, committees, speaking directly to your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, Your ability to manifest from your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, being the possession and the power of the impenetrable force that is you, by calling all those powers back to you. And it's also not getting along with the South Node. But you can look, but you can't touch. Well, you can touch, but you can't taste. I can see the world I want, but I can't have it. The energy only sets the stage. Will you be duped and fall for it? Timelines are shifting and rewriting themselves again. You have, they said it's Pluto, baby, it's Pluto. It's death, decay, and destruction for renewal, rebirth, regeneration. It is time for you to know who you are. It is time for you to start showing the world who you are. You have Neptune, which is challenging both nodes. Magic, your inner magic, sensitivity, going, well, do you believe in yourself? I bet I can make you doubt it. This is, will you be swayed? Will you be influenced? Venus is not getting along with Mars as well as with Pluto. That's also Neptune as Venus crosses over it. Mainly the energies are going to Venus, but it's also going over Neptune. Your grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities, skeletons under the closet. I'm unconscious to the fact that I'm having problems growing in this area. I'm holding on to what's comfortable versus the authority of actually taking your power back versus you're speaking up and doing it. Then you have Lilith, which is not getting along with Mercury or Pluto. Communicating from your heart your need to enjoy and be part of life with the things you need to enjoy and be part of. As well as with Venus and that Neptune energy. Your heart is asking you, what do you want? What is going to make you happy? What do we need to go after? Where do we want to be? And will you believe in it? Or will you fall for the Al Capone, organized crime, organized telling you how to live your life? That Lilith energy is also not getting along with the North Node. Believing in that power, creating that manifestation, not being duped. Not being the possession of something or someone else, but taking possession back. And lastly, but not least, you have Saturn, which is not getting along with Jupiter, Chiron, or Juno. If you don't believe, if you believe the world is horrible, and you believe that what you really want to create is unattainable, it is. You have to be the master creator of your timeline. Will you become the impenetrable force by believing or not? I will see you next week. Bye, guys.